On a bitterly cold day in early February, when snow lay thick upon the roads and the wind howled through the quiet English countryside, a solitary figure appeared on the outskirts of the village of Iping. Wrapped from head to foot, the stranger seemed almost unnatural in his appearance. His face was completely concealed behind layers of bandages, his eyes hidden behind large, dark blue spectacles, and his head covered with a wide-brimmed hat. Even his hands were gloved, and not a single inch of skin was visible. Carrying a small suitcase filled with bottles and scientific apparatus, he made his way directly to the Coach and Horses Inn. The inn was kept by Mr. and Mrs. Hall, simple and practical people, unaccustomed to unusual guests. The stranger entered abruptly, stamping the snow from his boots, and demanded a room and a fire. His voice was impatient, his tone commanding, and his manner discouraging of conversation. Though taken aback by his appearance and behavior, Mrs. Hall agreed to accommodate him, sensing that he was a paying guest who valued privacy above all else. From the very beginning, the stranger established strict boundaries. He insisted on being left alone, took his meals in isolation, and spent long hours locked inside his room. Soon, crates of luggage began to arrive, filled with books, chemicals, and laboratory equipment. The room he occupied gradually transformed into a kind of private laboratory, cluttered with glass bottles, strange instruments, and the faint, persistent smell of chemicals. The villagers of Iping, being naturally curious, quickly became suspicious. Among them was Mr. Teddy Henfry, the clock repairman, who attempted to strike up a conversation while fixing a clock in the stranger's room. But the stranger reacted sharply, dismissing him with irritation, making it clear that he did not welcome interruptions. This only deepened the mystery surrounding him. Strange occurrences soon began to trouble the inn. Mrs. Hall noticed that items in the stranger's room seemed to move when no one was present. Furniture creaked, doors opened and closed inexplicably, and objects were sometimes found displaced. At first, she tried to dismiss these events, but as they continued, her unease grew into fear. Another villager, Mr. Fearenside, who had given the stranger a ride earlier, began spreading rumors that the man might be hiding some deformity, or worse, something unnatural. The atmosphere in Iping became charged with speculation. Some believed him to be a criminal in disguise, while others whispered of supernatural explanations. The situation escalated when Mr. Cuss, the local doctor, decided to investigate. Under the pretense of a casual visit, he entered the stranger's room and attempted to engage him in conversation. However, during their interaction, Cuss experienced something deeply unsettling. At one point, he felt the stranger's sleeve move, but when he looked, there was no visible hand inside it. The realization struck him with terror. The man before him was not entirely visible. Disturbed and shaken, Cuss confided in Mr. Bunting, the vicar, and together they became convinced that the stranger was hiding something extraordinary. Meanwhile, the stranger himself grew increasingly agitated. His experiments seemed to trouble him, and his isolation was taking a toll on his mental state. The tension reached its peak when Mrs. Hall confronted him about unpaid bills and his disruptive presence. Enraged by the intrusion and suspicion, the stranger lost control. In a dramatic and horrifying moment, he began removing his bandages, his spectacles, and his clothing. As each layer fell away, there was nothing beneath, no face, no body, nothing visible at all. The room erupted in panic as the Invisible Man stood revealed. The villagers were thrown into chaos. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, attempted to arrest him, but the task proved impossible. The Invisible Man fought back, striking unseen blows, and eventually escaped into the open countryside, leaving Iping in fear and confusion. Now free but vulnerable, the Invisible Man, whose name was Griffin, began to experience the harsh reality of his condition. Though invisible, he was not invincible. The cold affected him severely, and he could not move about freely without risking exposure. Food, once eaten, became visible inside him until digested, making secrecy difficult. His condition, which he had once believed would grant him unlimited power, instead brought constant struggle. During his wanderings, Griffin encountered a tramp named Thomas Marvel. Recognizing that he needed assistance, Griffin coerced Marvel into serving him. Terrified and unwilling, Marvel became his unwilling accomplice, carrying his books, notes, and stolen money. Griffin depended on these materials, as they contained the secrets of his experiments and the possibility, however uncertain, of reversing them. As they traveled together, Griffin's temper grew increasingly unstable. He treated Marvel harshly, threatening him and controlling his every move. Marvel, though frightened, began to look for an opportunity to escape. That opportunity came when they reached the town of Burdock. Seizing his chance, Marvel fled to an inn, seeking protection and revealing fragments of the truth. Griffin pursued him in a rage, leading to a violent confrontation. During the chaos, Griffin was shot and injured, though his invisibility allowed him to escape once again. Wounded and desperate, Griffin sought refuge with Dr. Kemp, a former acquaintance from his university days. Kemp, a rational and respectable man, was astonished when Griffin revealed himself and recounted his story. "You don't understand." Griffin's voice trembles slightly, though there is no face to show it. "You see only what I have become, not what I was. Kemp, you sit there and judge me, but you have no idea what I have done, what I have discovered, what I have suffered. Listen to me, and listen carefully, because no one else has ever come this far. I was not always like this. There was a time when I was like any other ordinary man you would pass on the street. But my mind was never ordinary. While others wasted their time memorizing facts, I was searching for something greater. I wanted to go beyond the surface of things, to understand not just what we see, but why we see it. Tell me, Kemp, what makes a thing visible? It is not the object itself, it is light. Light striking the body, reflecting, bending, entering the eye. And then one day, it came to me. If I could alter the way a body interacts with light, if I could reduce its refractive index to match that of air, then it would not reflect light at all. And if it does not reflect light, it cannot be seen. At first, it was only an idea, but I turned it into reality. I worked day and night, without rest, without distraction. My room became a prison of thought, papers everywhere, formulas covering every surface. Bottles, chemicals, instruments. Failure after failure. But I did not stop. Because I knew I was close. And then, one day, it worked. A small object, right before my eyes, began to fade. until it was gone. Gone, Kemp. Not destroyed, not hidden. Just invisible. Do you understand what that means? I had done what no man had ever done before. But objects were not enough. No. I needed proof. Living proof. So I brought in a cat. Yes, I can see your reaction. You think me cruel. Perhaps I was. But at that moment, I was beyond such concerns. The experiment began. And the animal struggled. Its cries filled the room. But I ignored them. Because I was watching something extraordinary. Its body began to disappear. First the fur. Then the skin. Then the muscles beneath. Layer by layer. It vanished. Until there was nothing left. Nothing. Except its eyes. Two faint, floating shapes, hanging in empty space. Watching me. Alive, but unseen. For a moment, I hesitated. Even I felt it, that strange discomfort. But it passed. Because what I saw was not horror. It was success. From that moment, Kemp, I knew. I had crossed a boundary no one else had even approached. And if it could be done to an animal, it could be done to me. I did not think of consequences. I did not think of danger. I thought only of achievement. Of power. Of being the first man to step beyond visibility itself. The decision came quickly. Too quickly, perhaps. Before doubt could stop me. I began. I remember standing before a mirror. Looking at myself. A normal man. A limited man. And I thought, this is the last time I will ever see this face. Then the process began. At first, there was nothing. Then I looked at my hands. And they were fading. Fading, Kemp. Right before my eyes. The skin lost its color. Then its form. And then, nothing. My hands were gone. I felt it spreading. Up my arms, across my body. Into my face. I ran to the mirror. And watched. As my reflection disappeared. Piece by piece. Until there was nothing left. I stood there. Completely invisible. Do you know what I felt? Just complete power. I laughed, Kemp. I laughed like a man who had conquered nature itself. Because in that moment, I was no longer bound by the world of ordinary men. But that feeling did not last. The cold came first. You cannot imagine it. Without a visible body, without protection, the cold cuts through you like a knife. Then hunger. Do you know what happens when an invisible man eats? The food remains visible inside him. A moving, disgusting outline. I could not even eat without revealing myself. And then, society. I could not walk among people. Clothes betrayed me. Footprints exposed me. Every step was a struggle. Every moment, a risk. I had made myself powerful, but also helpless. And slowly, something inside me began to change. Why should I suffer like this? Why should I hide? When I possess a power no one else has? The world had ignored me when I was visible. But now it would fear me. And fear is power. That is when I understood, Kemp. I was not just a man anymore. I was something greater. Something beyond law. Beyond morality. Beyond consequence. And so I decided. If I cannot live among them, I will rule over them. A reign of terror. An invisible force, controlling everything. And no one able to stop it. And now you understand. This is not madness, Kemp. This is the logical outcome of what I have become. Kemp, listening all the story, became horrified by Griffin's intentions, pretended to agree while secretly contacting the authorities. When Griffin discovered the betrayal, his anger turned toward Kemp. He declared that Kemp would be the first victim of his reign. What followed was a tense and relentless pursuit. Griffin used his invisibility to stalk Kemp, issuing threats and creating an atmosphere of constant danger. Kemp, meanwhile, worked with the authorities to organize a defense, warning the people and preparing them for Griffin's attacks. The conflict reached its climax when Griffin attempted to kill Kemp in broad daylight. The entire community became involved, determined to stop the invisible menace. Despite his advantage, Griffin was weakened by his injuries and exhaustion. In the end, the crowd succeeded in overpowering him. Though they could not see him, they could feel his presence, and they struck him down with sheer force. As he lay dying, something remarkable happened. His body slowly began to reappear. First faintly, then clearly, the Invisible Man became visible once more, revealing Griffin in his final moments as an ordinary human being. With his death, the terror ended. His notebooks, filled with the secrets of invisibility, came into the possession of Thomas Marvel, who kept them hidden. Though he recognized their value, he lacked the knowledge to fully understand them. And so, the story closes not with triumph, but with a quiet warning, a reminder that knowledge without wisdom, and power without humanity, can lead not to greatness, but to destruction.